A predator hunts in his own territory. Officer David Barlow is a predator, and the manicured lawns of Oak Creek Vista are his hunting grounds. He cruises in his patrol car, a shark in a sea of green. The vehicle is an extension of his body, a shell of steel and authority. He sees the world through its polarized glass, a world divided into two simple categories, things that belong and things that do not. Barlow is a man carved from granite and prejudice. His jaw is a permanent clench, his eyes narrow slits of judgment. He wears his uniform not as a garment of public service, but as a king wears his armor. It is a declaration of his power, his right to sort the worthy from the unworthy. He believes in order. His order. The quiet streets, the two-story colonials, the sprawling ranch houses with their three-car garages, this is his kingdom. He is its self-appointed guardian, the bulwark against the tide of chaos he imagines is always lapping at its edges. The chaos, in his mind, has a specific look. It is the wrong color in the wrong place. It is poverty daring to breathe the air of affluence. It is anything that disrupts the perfect, sterile harmony of his own biases. The radio crackles, a voice slicing through the quiet hum of the engine. Unit 27, we have a call. Suspicious individual reported at 412 Chestnut Lane. A smile, thin and cruel, touches Barlow's lips. 412 Chestnut Lane. He knows the house. It belongs to the Hendersons. Old money. Old, white money. He pictures Mr. Henderson, a retired investment banker with a grip like a vice and a voice that booms with entitlement. He pictures Mrs. Henderson, with her pearl necklaces and her prize-winning azaleas. They are the people he protects. They are the ones who belong. Suspicious individual, the dispatcher repeats, the voice tinny and distant. Caller states a man is loitering in the front yard, possibly casing the property. Casing the property. The words are a drug to Barlow. They confirm everything he already believes about the world. They vindicate his constant, simmering vigilance. He flips on the lights, not the siren. No need to alarm the good people of Oak Creek. This will be quiet. This will be clean. He turns onto Chestnut Lane, a street where the oak trees form a cathedral canopy overhead. The sunlight dapples the asphalt, creating a mosaic of light and shadow. It is a peaceful scene. A deceptive scene. Barlow knows that evil can fester even in the most beautiful places. He sees the house. Number 412. A magnificent brick colonial, its white columns gleaming in the afternoon sun. And in the yard, there he is. The disruption. The chaos. A black man. He is kneeling in a flower bed, tending to a patch of roses with a small trowel. He wears a simple pair of stained khaki shorts and a faded t-shirt. He looks content. That is what angers Barlow the most. The sheer audacity of this man's contentment, his calm presence in a place where he so obviously does not belong. Barlow pulls the cruiser to the curb, the tires making a soft crunch on the gravel shoulder. He does not get out immediately. He watches. He assesses. The man is tall, lean, with a quiet dignity even in his simple clothes. He moves with a gentle precision, snipping a dead bloom here, loosening the soil there. He looks like a gardener. A hired hand. But the call said loitering, casing the joint. Barlow's mind connects the dots, drawing a line not of logic, but of pure, unadulterated prejudice. The gardener is a front. A cover for something more sinister. He is waiting for the Hendersons to leave. He is mapping his entry. The narrative writes itself in Barlow's head, as solid and real as the gun on his hip. He finally opens the car door. The sound is a sharp, metallic crack in the suburban silence. The man in the garden looks up. His eyes are intelligent, calm. There is no fear in them. Only curiosity. This is another offense. The man should be startled. He should be nervous. He should look guilty. Barlow slams the car door shut, the sound echoing off the brick facade of the house. He strides across the perfect lawn, his boots leaving slight indentations in the plush grass. He feels a surge of power, of righteous purpose. He is the line between order and chaos, and he is about to redraw it. "Can I help you, officer?" the man asks. His voice is deep and smooth, educated. It does not fit the picture in Barlow's head. The dissonance is jarring, and it makes Barlow angry. "I'll be the one asking the questions," Barlow says, his voice a low growl. He stops a few feet from the flower bed, deliberately placing himself between the men and the house. A territorial posture. "What are you doing here?" The man slowly rises to his feet, brushing the dirt from his hands. "I'm gardening," he gestures to the roses, a vibrant explosion of crimson and white. "They require a bit of attention this time of year." Barlow scoffs. It is a sound of pure derision. "Gardening? Right. Who do you work for?" The man's expression does not change, but a subtle tension enters his posture. "I'm sorry." It's a simple question, Barlow barks, his patience, already a shallow puddle, evaporating completely. "Who owns this house?" "The Hendersons." "Did they hire you?" A long moment of silence hangs in the air. The man's eyes scan Barlow's face, and for the first time, a flicker of something new appears in them. It is not fear. It is disappointment. "No, the Hendersons haven't lived here for almost 5 years, the man says, his voice even. "I own this house." The words hit Barlow like a physical blow. He laughs. A short, ugly bark of a laugh. "You own this house? That's a good one. Let's see some identification." "Of course," the man says. "It's just inside. If you'll let me." He takes a step toward the front door. "Freeze." Barlow's voice cracks like a whip. His hand instinctively moves to the butt of his gun. "You're not going anywhere." The man stops, his hands held slightly out from his sides in a gesture of placation. "Officer, my wallet is in the kitchen. I'm happy to get it for you." "I'll bet you are," Barlow sneers. "So you can make a run for it out the back. Or maybe grab a weapon." "I wasn't born yesterday." The injustice is a physical thing now, a suffocating heat rising from the pavement. The man, Dr. Alastair Finch, feels it settling over him like a shroud. He has lived in this house for 5 years. He is a respected cardiothoracic surgeon at the city's main hospital. He serves on 3 different charitable boards. He is tending his own roses in his own yard. And he is being treated like a criminal. "Officer," Finch says, his voice losing its placid tone, now edged with a fine, cold steel. "My name is Dr. Alastair Finch. This is my property. I am asking you to lower your voice and allow me to prove my identity." The title, Doctor, only infuriates Barlow more. It is another piece that does not fit his narrative. "You can be the King of England for all I care," Barlow spits. "Right now, you're a suspicious individual on private property. And I'm the law." He steps closer, invading Finch's personal space. The air crackles with hostility. Barlow is bigger, broader, a wall of muscle and aggression. Finch is tall, but wiry, a surgeon's build. The physical mismatch is obvious. "We got a call," Barlow continues, his voice dripping with condescension. "A concerned citizen saw you lurking around here. Said you didn't belong." "A concerned citizen," Finch repeats softly. "Was it Martha Gable from across the street? She still thinks the neighborhood went downhill when I moved in." The specific detail throws Barlow for a second. It suggests a familiarity that undermines his entire premise. He recovers quickly. "Doesn't matter who called. What matters is what I see. And I see a guy who doesn't have any ID, claiming to own a house he can't possibly afford, and getting real mouthy with a police officer." He pokes a thick finger into Finch's chest. "That's a bad combination. A real bad combination." Finch stands his ground. He does not flinch. "Take your hand off me, officer." The request is quiet. It is not a plea. It is a command. Barlow's face twists into a mask of rage. The audacity. The sheer, unmitigated gall. "You're in no position to be giving orders," he snarls. "You're in a position to be on your knees with your hands behind your head." He shoves Finch hard. Finch stumbles backward, catching his heel on the brick border of the flower bed. He falls. He lands amidst the roses, the thorns tearing at his arms and his shirt. A beautiful, deep red bloom, one he had nurtured from a cutting given to him by his late wife, is crushed beneath his weight. That is the moment. That is the breaking point. It is not the fall. It is not the thorns. It is the sight of that crushed flower. A symbol of love and memory, destroyed by a moment of pure, ugly hate. Something inside Alastair Finch shifts. The patient, tolerant men, the men who believed in dialogue and understanding, recedes. In his place, a different man emerges. A man of cold, hard resolve. He slowly, deliberately, gets to his feet. There is a smear of dirt on his cheek and a thin trickle of blood on his forearm from a thorn. But his eyes are clear. They are chips of ice. Barlow sees the change. He misinterprets it as a prelude to a fight. Good. He wants this. He wants the excuse. On the ground. Now, he bellows, reaching for his handcuffs. No, Finch says. The word is not shouted. It is spoken with an absolute, unshakable finality. Barlow charges forward, grabbing Finch's arm and twisting it behind his back with a practiced, violent motion. He slams Finch against the solid oak of his own front door. The impact reverberates through Finch's body. The world narrows to the rough texture of the wood against his cheek and the searing pain in his shoulder. You just assaulted a police officer, Barlow hisses in his ear, the words hot with triumph. You are going away for a long, long time. Your little act is over. He fumbles with the cuffs, his movements clumsy with adrenaline. I'm going to search this house from top to bottom, he says, almost to himself. Find every stolen thing you've got stashed in here. The Hendersons will be very grateful. He thinks he has won. He thinks the story is over. But he has made a fatal error. He has brought the battle from the lawn, his territory, to the house. Finch's territory. With a grunt of effort, Barlow snaps one cuff onto Finch's wrist. Then, instead of waiting for backup, his arrogance and impatience get the better of him. He wants to see the look on this man's face when he's proven right. He reaches past Finch's head, grabs the ornate brass handle, and turns it. The door is unlocked. Another point for his prosecution. An unlocked door. How convenient for you, Barlow mutters. He shoves the door open with his shoulder and pushes Finch inside. They stumble into the foyer. And the world stops. The air inside the house is cool and still. Sunlight streams through a large bay window, illuminating a grand, sweeping staircase and polished hardwood floors. The house is immaculate, tastefully decorated with art and artifacts that speak of wealth, travel, and culture. But Barlow does not see any of that. His eyes are drawn, as if by a magnetic force, to the wall directly in front of him. The living room wall. Above a large, stone fireplace and a beautifully carved mantelpiece, hangs a gallery of photographs. Large, professionally framed photographs. Barlow's brain struggles to process what he is seeing. There are dozens of pictures, a tapestry of a life well lived. His eyes dart from one to the next. Dr. Alastair Finch, shaking hands with the governor at a charity gala. Dr. Alastair Finch, accepting an award from the chief of police for his community outreach work. Dr. Alastair Finch, his arm around a smiling senator on a golf course. Barlow's breath catches in his throat. His grip on Finch's arm, the arm he was about to cuff, goes slack. His mind is a frantic scramble of denial and panic. This is a trick. They are fakes. It is impossible. And then he sees the center photograph. It is the largest of them all, placed in the most prominent position. It is a candid shot, full of life and laughter. It depicts a backyard barbecue. This backyard. He can see the very rose bushes Finch was just tending to in the background. In the photo, Dr. Alastair Finch stands next to another man. They both have their arms slung over each other's shoulders, grinning widely at the camera. The other man is holding a half-eaten burger in his free hand. The other man is Mayor Robert Thompson. The blood drains from Officer David Barlow's face. It is a sudden, violent evacuation, leaving his skin a pale, sickly gray. The air in his lungs turns to stone. The booming, confident arrogance that has defined his entire existence evaporates in an instant, replaced by a cold, creeping dread that starts in his stomach and spreads like ice through his veins. He is no longer a predator. He is prey. And he has just walked into the lion's den. Finch feels the change in the men holding him. The brutal strength in his grip is gone, replaced by a trembling, uncertain touch. He slowly, deliberately, turns his head to look at Barlow. He sees the fear in the officer's eyes. He sees the dawning, horrific realization. He sees a man whose entire world has just been shattered by a single photograph. Finch gently pulls his arm free. Barlow does not resist. He is frozen, his eyes locked on the image of his victim and the most powerful men in the city, laughing together like old friends. Because they are old friends. As I was saying, Finch says, his voice a quiet storm, this is my house. He rubs his wrist where the metal of the cuff had started to bite into his skin. You have just assaulted me, illegally detained me, and attempted to unlawfully enter my home. All, I might add, while showing a staggering level of racial bias. Barlow stammers. A pathetic, gurgling sound escapes his lips. There was a call. Yes, the call, Finch says, his eyes moving from the photograph back to the officer. The call from a prejudiced neighbor, which you, a sworn officer of the law, chose to validate with your own bigotry instead of with facts and proper procedure. He takes a step away from Barlow, creating a space between them that feels like a chasm. The power dynamic has not just shifted. It has been inverted, shattered, and remade. Finch is no longer the suspect. He is the judge. Look around, officer, Finch says, his voice dangerously calm. Look at the awards on that shelf. Citizen of the Year, 2019. The Mayor's Medal for Civic Service. Look at the diplomas on that wall. Johns Hopkins. Harvard Medical School. Barlow's eyes dart around the room, each new piece of evidence a fresh nail in his coffin. He is drowning. He is suffocating in the truth. You saw a black man in a wealthy neighborhood, and you didn't see a homeowner. You didn't see a doctor. You didn't see a citizen, Finch continues, his voice rising with a cold, righteous fury. You saw a criminal. You saw a stereotype you carry around in that empty space between your ears. Your prejudice is so profound, it made you blind. Barlow finally tears his gaze from the wall. He looks at Finch, his eyes pleading. Mr. Doctor. I made a mistake. We can just forget this happened. Finch lets out a short, sharp laugh. It is a sound devoid of all humor. Forget this happened. Officer, you have a very poor understanding of the situation you are in. He walks over to a small table by the door and picks up his phone. You see, you think this is your word against mine. You think you can write a report full of lies and sanitized language to cover your tracks. He taps the screen a few times. But you're wrong. He presses a button, and a voice, crisp and professional, emanates from the phone speaker. Commissioner Davies' office. Barlow flinches as if he has been struck. The police commissioner. Helen, it's Alastair Finch, Finch says calmly. Is he available? It's an urgent matter. Of course, Dr. Finch. One moment. The seconds stretch into an eternity. Barlow can hear his own heart pounding in his ears, a frantic drumbeat of doom. He wants to run. He wants to rewind time. He wants to beg. But he is paralyzed. A new voice comes on the line, deeper, more authoritative. Alastair. What's wrong? You sound tense. Frank, I'm fine, Finch says. But I have a situation here at my home. I have an officer from your department, Officer Barlow, badge number 734". He looks directly at Barlow, whose face is now slick with sweat. He has just committed assault, battery, and a litany of civil rights violations against my person on my own property. There is a moment of shocked silence on the other end of the line. Then, Commissioner Davies' voice returns, hard as iron. Where is he now, Alastair? He's standing in my foyer, beginning to appreciate the full scope of his professional misconduct, Finch replies, his words laced with ice. Stay right there. I'm sending internal affairs and a supervisor immediately. Do not let him leave. Is he armed? He is, Finch says. Barlow makes a small, whimpering sound. He is no longer a cop. He is a cornered animal. His partner, a younger officer named Miller who had been silently waiting by the patrol car, chooses this moment to enter the house, his expression worried. Dave, what's taking so? Oh. Miller stops dead in the doorway, taking in the scene. He sees his partner, pale and trembling. He sees the distinguished black man on the phone. And he sees the wall of photographs. His face pales as well. He understands instantly. Alistair, the commissioner's voice says from the phone, is his partner with him. Finch looks at Miller. His partner just arrived. What was his involvement? Finch considers the young officer, who looks terrified but who had not participated in the physical assault. He was a silent observer, Finch says. He did nothing to stop his partner's illegal actions. He is complicit through his inaction. Miller visibly shrinks, as if trying to disappear into the doorframe. I see, the commissioner says grimly. They will both be dealt with. I am on my way personally. I am so sorry, Alistair. This is unacceptable. We'll talk when you get here, Frank, Finch says, and hangs up the phone. He places it back on the table with a soft click. The silence that follows is deafening. Barlow's arrogance finally shatters completely. It breaks apart, revealing the pathetic, frightened man underneath. Please, he whispers, the word ragged. I have a family. A mortgage. This was just a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding. Finch's voice is dangerously soft. You crushed my late wife's favorite rose. You put your hands on me. You called me a liar and a thief in my own home. That is not a misunderstanding, officer. That is a choice. You made a choice based on the color of my skin. He points a trembling finger towards a small, almost invisible dome on the ceiling in the corner of the foyer. A red light is blinking softly. And your choices have been meticulously documented, Finch says. My home security system records high-definition video and audio. It was activated the moment you stepped onto my lawn. He pauses, letting the weight of the words sink in. So we have your threats. We have your slurs. We have the sound of you shoving me against my own door. We have everything. Barlow looks at the camera. Then he looks at Finch. The last vestiges of hope drain from his eyes. He is utterly, completely, and irrevocably ruined. He opens his mouth to speak, to plead, to offer some desperate, final lie. But before he can, the distant sound of sirens cuts through the quiet afternoon. They are growing closer. Louder. They are not coming for Dr. Alistair Finch. They are coming for him. The first to arrive is a patrol supervisor, a sergeant named McAvoy. He is a veteran cop with weary eyes who has seen everything. But he has not seen this. He walks into the foyer, his gaze flicking from a sweating, terrified Barlow, to a composed but furious Dr. Finch, to the damning gallery on the wall. McAvoy's face hardens. He knows Dr. Finch. Everyone in the department's upper command knows Dr. Finch. He is the surgeon who saved the deputy chief's life after a heart attack last year. He is the man who sits on the Police Athletic League's board. He is the mayor's best friend. McAvoy does not hesitate. He looks at Barlow with an expression of pure contempt. Barlow. Give me your weapon. The order is flat, devoid of emotion. Sarge, I can explain. Now, McAvoy barks. Barlow, his hand shaking uncontrollably, unholsters his service weapon and hands it over, but first. McAvoy takes it, then turns to Miller, who is still frozen in the doorway. You too, Miller. Your weapon and your badge. Miller complies silently, his face a mask of shame. Just then, two more men arrive. They are in suits. Their faces are grim, their movements efficient. Internal Affairs. Behind them, his face a thundercloud of fury, is Police Commissioner Frank Davies. He strides into the foyer and walks directly to Finch, ignoring his own officers completely. Alistair. Are you all right? Did he hurt you? I'm fine, Frank, Finch says, though his shoulder aches from the impact with the door. A little bruised. A lot angry. The commissioner puts a hand on Finch's shoulder. I am beyond sorry. This cancer. I try to cut it out, but it keeps growing back. He then turns his wrathful gaze upon Barlow. Officer Barlow, he says, his voice dripping with venom. You are hereby suspended, pending termination. You are a disgrace to this uniform, to this city, and to the very concept of justice. He gestures to the internal affairs detectives. Take them downtown. Full statement. Confiscate their body cams. I want a full investigation launched before the sun sets. And somebody get a forensics team out here to download Dr. Finch's security footage. The detectives move in, flanking Barlow and Miller. They do not cuff them. That indignity will come later, after the formal charges are filed. But they lead them out of the house like prisoners, their heads bowed in shame. As Barlow is escorted past him, his career in ashes, his life destroyed by his own hate, Finch speaks one last time. His voice is not loud, but it cuts through the room like a surgeon's scalpel. Officer Barlow. Barlow stops, but does not turn around. Before you go, I just want you to answer one question for me. Finch waits until he feels the man's attention on him. Tell me, he says, his voice cold and clear. Do I still look like I don't belong here? Barlow does not answer. He cannot. He is led away, a broken man, disappearing from the perfect house in the perfect neighborhood he swore to protect, but only managed to defile. The fallout. It is not swift. It is a slow, methodical, and brutal dismantling. Dr. Alastair Finch ensures it. He is not a man who seeks vengeance. He is a man who demands accountability. The security footage is as damning as he promised. It is played for the city council in a closed-door session. It is leaked to the press. The city watches, horrified, as Officer David Barlow, a man sworn to protect and serve, shoves, threatens, and belittles one of its most respected citizens. They hear the thinly veiled slurs. They see the unadulterated hate in his eyes. There is no defense. David Barlow is fired from the police force in disgrace. His union, after viewing the footage, refuses to represent him. He is alone. The city's district attorney, facing immense public pressure and a mountain of irrefutable evidence, files criminal charges. Assault. Official oppression. Violation of civil rights. Barlow pleads not guilty, but the trial is a formality. The video is the only witness the prosecution needs. He is found guilty on all counts. The judge, a stern woman who has seen the corrosive effects of prejudice in her courtroom for 30 years, makes an example of him. She sentences him to 5 years in state prison. Not county jail. Prison. His police pension is forfeited, seized by the city to help pay the substantial civil settlement awarded to Dr. Finch. His wife leaves him. His house, the one he was so proud of in his own manicured suburb, goes into foreclosure. His life is utterly and completely destroyed. He becomes a cautionary tale, a ghost that haunts the precinct roll calls for years to come. Officer Miller, the partner who stood by and did nothing, fares slightly better, but his career is also over. He is fired for cowardice and dereliction of duty. He is not charged criminally, but he is disbarred from ever serving in law enforcement again. He ends up working as a night watchman at a warehouse, a quiet, shameful end to a once promising career. The concerned citizen, Martha Gable, is exposed when the 911 call log is released. She becomes a pariah in the neighborhood. Her friends shun her. For sale signs from other neighbors begin to pop up on her street, homeowners suddenly eager to distance themselves from her brand of bigotry. She eventually sells her home at a loss and moves away, humiliated. But the consequences do not end with the guilty. Dr. Finch, with the full backing of Mayor Thompson and Commissioner Davies, uses his settlement money, every single penny, to create the Finch Foundation for Police Reform. Its mission is simple: to ensure what happened to him never happens to anyone else. The foundation pushes for sweeping changes in the department. Implicit bias training becomes mandatory and recurring. A new, state-of-the-art de-escalation training facility is built. The City Council, at Finch's urging, passes the Accountability in Policing Act, strengthening the power of the Civilian Review Board and mandating that all body cam footage and use of force incidents be released to the public within 48 hours. Dr. Finch himself is appointed as the civilian co-chair of the new Oversight Committee. He becomes a force for change, as precise and dedicated in his quest for justice as he is in the operating room. He does not just win his battle. He changes the rules of the war. 6 months later. The afternoon sun is warm on Alastair Finch's back. He is in his garden again, kneeling by the rose bushes. The one that was crushed has been replaced. A new, vibrant bloom is already beginning to open. He is not alone. Kneeling beside him is a young man named Marcus, a teenager from a downtown youth center that the Finch Foundation now sponsors. Finch is teaching him about grafting, about nurturing life, about the patience required to make something beautiful grow. You see, Finch says, his voice gentle, you have to be firm, but careful. You can't force it. You have to understand what it needs to thrive. A patrol car cruises slowly down the street. It is a different car, with different officers. A man and a woman. One white, one Latina. They see Finch and Marcus in the yard. The car does not slow down with suspicion. It slows down with respect. The female officer in the passenger seat rolls down her window. Afternoon, Dr. Finch, she says with a warm smile. The roses are looking beautiful this year. Thank you, Officer Ramirez, Finch replies, smiling back. We're doing our best. The patrol car continues on its way, a quiet guardian, not an occupying force. Marcus looks at Finch, his eyes wide with a question he does not know how to ask. Finch understands. Things are changing, Marcus, he says softly, turning back to the roses. Slowly. But they're changing. He looks at his home, the stately brick house that stands as a silent testament to his struggle and his victory. He looks at the street, a place that was once a battleground, now a symbol of nascent peace. Arrogance, he thinks, is a disease of the soul. It is a blindness born of the belief that a uniform or a badge or the color of your skin makes you superior. But it is a fragile power. It shatters at the first contact with the truth. Justice, on the other hand, is like a well-tended garden. It requires patience. It requires work. And sometimes, to protect the blossoms, it must reveal its thorns.